Dead. His sons are away travelling. Absolutely innocent, unconnected with anything at all, and they are murdered. No justice done. Forgive and forget. I don't think the families of those two guys would be happy to forgive and forget. When we look at the likes of Paris has had a terrorist attack recently. New York has had a terrorist attack. London has there a terrorist attack. People died in all three of them places that I've mentioned. Would the general public in the UK expect someone living in Paris, the whole of France, would they expect them to forgive and forget the men who carried out the attacks recently in Paris? I don't think they would. New York. Do you think people in New York and America in general would be happy to forgive and forget the men who were behind the attacks on the World Trade Center? Again, I don't think they would be happy forgiving and forgetting. In London, do you think the people whose families were destroyed by the terrorist attacks on 7/7, do you think that they would be happy forgiving and forgetting? They absolutely wouldn't. But the Loyalist community, time and time again, is expected to forgive and forget, and because we say no, or the majority of us say no, we are called and branded names like sectarian bigots, racists, and you name it, we're getting called it. But the fact is here, our community has been under siege for tens and tens and tens of years. Our troops have been killed, our communities have been ripped apart, our police force have come under attack. You've even had Prison Officer Black, very more recently than most of the attacks. A prison officer, the prison officer getting hunted by the IRA. We've had men like Willie Fraser, his whole family has been torn to bits by the IRA. But yet, it's getting expected and sometimes demanded that we forgive and forget. We just take it on the chin and bugger off. That is impossible. Like I've said there, Paris, New York, London, these places aren't expected to forgive and forget. Why should loyalists in Northern Ireland, mainland Europe, Germany, where the IRA has been responsible for a terror campaign, why should we be expected to forgive and forget? It's easy for the government to forget. They just put millions and millions and millions of pounds behind different campaigns, initiatives, and it's easy for them to forget. It's ironic though for France, because we have been under siege by these Republicans for years and their terror campaigns. Paris has also went through one of the most challenging times in the country's history with a terror attack, which is awful. But the fact remains that those responsible for killing British citizens, some streets in France are named after Irish Republican volunteers. So you can see that there seems to be a difference in terrorists. If that makes sense, terrorists seem to be viewed differently depending on what country they're from, which is wrong. And I think, and this is just a personal opinion, it seems to me like the IRA are deemed as less a terrorist than say a Muslim terrorist. They're easier to forget because they're Irish or Republicans, they come from Britain or whatever. It seems that they're not viewed the same. The IRA's terror campaign is not viewed by our government in the same way that ISIS are running their terror campaign, and it's totally wrong. After the next break that's just coming up, guys, we're going to look at the Corporal's killings, and we're going to look at the M62 coach bombings. Both of them are really interesting ones. Both of them were in the press for quite some time, and there's quite a lot to find on the internet about it, which is where I found the majority of information, and this book that I've got in front of me. So we'll come into that next.
There's a light that shines in Flanders as a beacon for the brave. From the distant past it wanders to recall the lives they gave. And it tells his generation to be wise and never fail, to remember those who've fallen on the road to Passchendaele. On the road to Passchendaele, on the road to Passchendaele, where the brave will live forever. On the road to Passchendaele, on the road to Passchendaele, on the road to Passchendaele, where the brave will live forever. On the road to Passchendaele. Come with me and I will show you why all wars should ever cease. Take a walk among the gravestones and your tears will cry for peace. For the spirits walk in Flanders, you can hear the grieving wail. For the brave who laid their lives down on the road to Passchendaele. On the road to Passchendaele, on the road to Passchendaele, where the brave will live forever. On the road to Passchendaele, on the road to Passchendaele, on the road to Passchendaele, where the brave will live forever. On the road to Passchendaele.
like I said, guys, we're going to look at what's known as the Corporals killings. And behind that name that people refer to it as two names, David Howes and Derek Woods. They were both corporals in the British Army, and they were serving with the Royal Corps of Signals. David was 23 and Derek was 24. And they were in civilian clothing in a car, and they were dragged from that car and they were beaten to death. What is shocking about the whole thing is it was broad daylight, TV cameras captured it. There was a lot of things surrounding the aftermath where people were saying they could have been saved. Other people were arguing that they couldn't. Other people were saying that there was people on standby, that there was people near that could have helped them, but it was too dangerous to send them in to intervene. I'm going to kind of read from Wikipedia, and the only reason I'm choosing to read from Wikipedia is to highlight the point where these people that are asking loyalists to forgive and forget what these Republicans have done for years, they need only look at Google and open Wikipedia, and they will see the answer to their question in writing. These are the things and these are the reasons why we can't move on and forgive and forget. We don't want to move on from it. We want to remember these people, but we won't forget or forgive how these people died. So they were both British Army corporals. They were killed by the Provisional IRA on the 19th of March 1988. We already know that now people know it as the Corporals killings. They were off-duty soldiers. They were wearing plain clothes when they were killed. They encountered a funeral procession of an IRA member, and it was returning from Belfast to Lisbon. One thing that always annoys me when I hear it is Republicans will say, some members of the police will say, even the government will say, only 3 days before these two corporals were massacred, only 3 days before it, Michael Stone had attacked an IRA funeral at a graveyard and killed 3 people. So these people were on edge, they were on guard, and that seems to be one of the excuses. To me, there is no excuse for doing what these people have done to David and Derek. But yeah, the point still stands. 3 days before the two corporals were killed, that's when Michael Stone had carried out his attack at an IRA funeral. That attack is the reason that many Republicans and those in government use to justify why this crowd had massacred these two soldiers. So again, reading from Wikipedia, it says, again what I've just said, these people believed that the two soldiers were loyalists intent on repeating Stone's attack. I'm saying that's a lie. That's just my opinion. It's a poor excuse. It's a sick excuse for doing what they've done. Dozens of people surrounded the car that they were driving in, and Corporal Wood drew his pistol, like you would do. You're in a terrified situation. He fired a shot in the air. That's a fact you can see all over the internet. So here's a corporal. He's surrounded by people trying to get into his car. He's not too sure what the hell's going on. He draws a pistol. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would maybe say, if they were in that situation, you would draw your pistol and not fire a shot in the air, which he did. You'd have fired it in a different direction. But Corporal Wood, he's drew his pistol inside the car and he shot into the air. Both soldiers were dragged from the car. They were beaten, taken to a nearby waste ground where they were stripped and shot dead. We already know the incident was filmed by television cameras because we can see that footage on the internet. It's been described as some of the most dramatic and harrowing footage that some people have ever seen. So I'm going to read the background, which it says here on Wikipedia. It says the killings took place against a backdrop of violence at a high-profile Irish Republican funeral.